Hi guys, I'm Samina from thecodecottage.com and welcome to my YouTube channel. We are on day 14 of our 30 days of code where we are learning how to build your very own WordPress theme from scratch, and we have successfully completed 99% of our static WordPress theme. We have successfully built our static home page, which has all of the different sections. So we have the nav bar, the logo, the hero content, which is the featured post content, the featured categories. We have a subscription box. We also have some blog posts and a button to read more posts within the blog section. We also have a little about me feature over here, and here we'll have our Instagram feed and finally the footer. Then we have gone ahead and made that actual page which will be displayed when we click on this button, more from the blog, and this is the main blog excerpts page which contains all of the excerpts. It also contains the sidebar right here, and then we have individual blog posts which will open up, and this is our comment section. So basically our static version is done, but now the main thing that remains is making it responsive. Obviously now when we try to, can you see what happens when we do that? It just kind of messes the positioning entirely. The menu is messed up. Look at how this section just enters into this and it scrolls sideways, which is just pathetic. We don't want any of this. This has completely changed and it's just not pleasant looking at all. Like, have a look at this. It's just not nice. So what we are going to do today and probably tomorrow, we'll take our time. We don't want to fit too much into one day, so we can make this index page responsive today, and we could do these two tomorrow, because once we do the index, then these two won't take that much time. We'll see how time permits. I don't want to make the videos extremely long because then it's just you can't pay attention after a point. I know it because I've been there, done that. So let's just get started. Let's not waste more time. So this is our orange marmalade theme. This is my index page. We'll obviously have to get into our style sheet. So I'll go into custom.css, and at the very bottom I'll create this comment and call it media queries. It's the media queries that makes our website responsive. So let's just do that. Media queries. Now we will be dividing this entire website according to 4 different devices. So I'll just first type out everything and then I'll explain. So add media only screen and max width is 1200 pixels. Then we'll come down here at media only screen and max width is 1023 pixels. At media only screen and max width would be 767 pixels. And finally at media only screen and max width will be 480 pixels. Now we'll start populating, but before we do that, let me just show you what I'm trying to do here. So here max width is 1200 pixels. So all the screen sizes that are between 1024 and 1200, then all the screen sizes between 768 pixels and 1023 pixels, then all the screen sizes between 481 and 767, and finally all device screen sizes which are below 480 pixels including 480 pixels. So these are all the device types that we will cover. Basically it covers all the kinds of devices. So once we create media queries and add a styling for these, we are done and our site will be ready. But it's not that easy because we will have to account for basically all the kinds of stylings and be very mindful of the different aspects that we want to make responsive. So let's get started. The first thing that I will do is firstly give it a section The first thing that I want to cover in all four of these is the section, the row, and body for the last two or perhaps even three, depending on how we need it. So let's just get started. Section. I don't need any padding for this because it's already well taken care of, but I will give it an overflow of hidden, just so you know that part where when we try to do this and then it was scrolling sideways, we don't want that to happen. So overflow hidden stops that from happening. I will add that practically in all of my screen sizes. Now when I save this and refresh this, and when I try to do this, you will see that it doesn't go sideways at all. It's not ideal, but it's not, at least not moving sideways. So our website will be fixed to that screen size and it will not scroll sideways in any case. That's perfect. That's exactly what or how we wanted it to be. So let's move on now. Now the next thing that I want to do is, as the screen size adjusts, I want that row to have a padding on the right and the left so that it doesn't look squished. Let's add that. I'll be first adding it just to this one. So I'll give it dot row and a padding of 0 and 2%. So 0 top and bottom, 2% right and left. Let's refresh that. You won't see much because this is really not where you see the real changes. Now let's actually get to the real thing. Now the first thing I want to do is, actually I will take this into Google because it's much simpler to show you there because of our Google developer tools. So when I'm just going to come down here. Now you see the screen sizes here. Okay, so we'll keep it between 1023 and 1200. So 1074, right? So this is all of our web page right here. Now let's start working on this. So we have just made this, which is applicable to this. Now the next thing that we want to attract is 767. So this is 767. So we want screen sizes between 768 pixels and 1023. So I will go below 1023 and make it 700 and say somewhere in the middle. 767, that's where it begins. So I'll keep it at 780 or even 800. Perfect. So let's get working on that. So this is looking good. Now what I'll do is, first thing, overflow is hidden again. So we don't have sideways scrolling right here. It scrolls here because that's how it is, but actually it doesn't. It doesn't have any scrolling whatsoever. So I'll give it a body and sorry, not dot body. It's not a class. It's a tag. And I'll reduce the font size now to 14 pixels. Let's see what that looks like, because we want obviously for it to be a little tinier, otherwise it's just not good. And we'll target each and every section accordingly, but for now let's just focus on one thing at a time. I will also give the section a padding. I'll give it a padding of 40 pixels from top and bottom and 0 along the sides. Let's see. Brilliant. Looks good. Now let's look at the individual aspects, right? So this is fine. These two, I'm happy with that. Then let's look at this. Now this I'm not happy with. I want this size to be bigger. So the width is obviously 100. So that's the hero container. And that's the name of the class. So within the hero container, I will give it an IMG. I will target the IMG, sorry. And give it a height of auto, short the video. So the hero title now, obviously this is a width of 100. Let's just look at that. Hero container positioning is relative. And then look at the image. We don't have anything going on here. I will give it a padding of say 20 pixels. Let's just see what that does. So that sort of brings it closer and doesn't just stick to the, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to be using a featured image anyways. Now the only thing that's left to do is make changes to this, which is basically a hero title. So let's just make the changes first over here. So this is all the rules that we have, right? So what if I change the position from here? Because what will happen is I do want it to have a good amount of padding, right? I want it to have a text align of center. The width now, we can get rid of this. Okay, perfect. I think I know what we're doing now. So this is fine. And we just need to change this to say 60%. Brilliant. And the top can be 100 pixels or maybe 90. Yep, that looks good to me. But I also have to see what happens in the range between 767 and 1023 or 768 and 1023. It should remain like this and not look distorted. So first let me just write the rules here. I've changed just the width and the top. So dot hero title, width is 60% and the top is 90 pixels. So let's see, refresh that, and let me just try. I think that looks really nice. It stays that way. I want to make sure it stays that way till 1023 because that's what we're trying to achieve. 1029, 1023, and then it shifts back. Perfect. So that looks good to me. So I'll stick with that. That looks okay to me. I think I'll stick with that. Perhaps I'll just make it like, no, I think 90 is good. I'm happy with that. Yep. So let's move on now. I'll probably just reduce the font size here as well. So hero title, font size 12 pixels, right? That looks nicer. Yeah, I think that's what I'll stick with. Font size 12 pixels. Let's move on now. I'll keep it at 800-ish. Perfect, this is right. Now this looks okay to me. There is not much I want to do here because it's just like, even when you resize the screen, it's perfect. I'll have to keep this on, sorry, so we know what screen size we are targeting right now. Yep, that's brilliant. That looks perfect to me, so I'll leave it at that. Now we are here. So what I want to happen is I want this to become 100% of its width. Let's see how we can achieve that. Come here, form group. What I'll do is I'll remove that float of left. I'll give it a width of 100%. I'll give it a margin right. I don't need to give a margin right really. And I'll give it a margin top actually of say 10 pixels. So there's a little bit of a space. That's brilliant. So that's the styling I'm going to add to my form group for screen sizes that are between 768 and 1023. So it stays that way. Perfect. So let's do that. Dot form group, and here I will include, what was it again, just the width to be 100% and margin top to be 10 pixels. Perfect. Let's refresh that, and that looks good. I will target this button right here, which is input type submit btn cat. So this is the one that I'm trying to target. I think that looks nicer, so let's do that. So we are targeting this class, add that here, give it a width of 100%, okay, and I will give it a margin top of 10 pixels and a padding of 5% top and bottom and 0 along the sides. Let's refresh this. Hopefully that looks brilliant. Very happy with that. Yep, looks amazing. So we'll also try to resize this up until 1023 pixels just to see that it stays. Yep, it looks amazing. Between 1023 and 1200, this looks a bit weird. So I'm just gonna have a look at that. Wait, so I'll add the same style right here for this as well. So for all screen sizes that are below 1200, it'll have that same thing. Again, now for some reason, yeah, that's because I haven't added the form group. So I'll add the form group here and it should be good. There you go. So we have this. And here again, we need to make a little bit of a change here between that screen size. So I'll add that same styling here as well, but just make changes to the top aspect. You'll know what I'm trying to say right here. Hero title. So I'll add that over here. Let's see what that looks like. I am pretty sure we'll have to make changes to the top. We do. So what I'll do is I'll leave that at 100 pixels perhaps. And then it should be fine. Yep, that looks good. Very happy with that. So now we can move ahead. The from the blog section again looks perfect. Only I think I would like to make changes here by changing the width. I'd say the width is here. So the width is 20 exactly. So what I want to do is change that width to like 40%, and margin left will then be 60, so 30% right in the center. You could even make it 30, right? So we're left with 70, and to make 70 we need 35. So that looks good as well. It depends on how you like it, but I think I'm happy with this, so I'll take this. And I'm just going to first confirm what 1023, fine. So it'll be here, and I'd say we'll need it here as well in the next section. Let's see. Yeah, best to add it actually. I'll do that, and then we'll refresh it to see what it finally looks like. Let's refresh. Perfect. I think it looks brilliant. Perfect. I really like that. Now we come on over here. So let's see between 1023 first. So that's the screen size. Obviously needs a good bit of changing only for this text overlay bit. So we have featured about content, and what I'll do is I will reduce firstly the font size to 14 pixels. Brilliant. And then just put that up here. We'll have to change the positioning of the top over here. So instead of 105, I'll see what 80 pixels looks like. I think that is perfect. So I'll take this, and for my styling here, oops, sorry, not that. I forgot to copy it here. So I'll copy that, paste it here, and add my style. So I only need to change the font size here. Font size to 14 pixels and the top to 80 pixels. So right now we're dealing with screen sizes that are between 1023 and between 767 and 1023 pixels. And also simultaneously we are also dealing with this one right here, which is screen sizes between 1023 and 1200. So both of them. Now we have to deal with the ones between 768, that is over here, 768 and 1023. So let's do that. Again, now I'll just carry this forward. I'll just inspect element here, and I have featured about content. So I'll just create a new style here and just change the top to say 70 pixels or 75 even. Yep. And I'll also change the left now over here. So initially I'll check what left was. I think I'll have it here open. So left was 150 pixels before. So let's try making it 120 pixels. I think that looks good. Yep, happy with that. So I'll just add these styles to my media query, which is between over here, but screen size is between 768 and 1023 pixels. So I'll place that here. Perfect. I'm just going to inspect the element so we know what screen size we're dealing with. I just love how it looks. It's really nice and responsive. So this part has clearly worked, which is between 1023 and 1200. So the one that is okay, yes, it definitely does work. 103328. Yes, so that doesn't work because in my custom.css right here, I've left it at 80. It should be pixels. That's it. That's the only change that we need to make. And there you go. Our about featured section is responsive as well, up to 760. Yeah, so here is where we are facing some kind of a difficulty, I'd say. Ideally, what we'll do is, so 767 part, so it starts from here, right? So what I'll do is I'll reduce the padding of this, reduce the margins, just so it becomes more compact, because now as you can see the image is bigger than this. Sorry, the image is tinier compared to the text. So I'll obviously change the font size to 12 pixels. Oops, not here. Making a mistake. Yeah, so I'll change the font size here as the screen changes. So this is between 768 and 1023 pixels. So change it to 12 pixels. Brilliant. I will also reduce the padding. So originally now, if you see what this is, I'll go into we are right here. I'll just inspect that element right here. So we are in featured about content. Now if you look at the original, you'll see that we have plenty of padding here. So I definitely want to change that padding from 4 to like 2%, not 42, 2%, and 1 over here. So you know how it's maybe top and bottom could be like 3%, right? So that looks nice. And maybe even reduce that margin between these things, dependent on how it is. I like the 2%, right? And yeah, so I'll change that padding as well. Maybe give it 2.5 to get a middle ground, and 1% along the sides. So let's refresh that. So it kind of makes a big difference actually when we do that, because the image, as you see, is kind of shrinking as well. So we want the text to be uniform with that image. We don't want that text to become bigger than the image, because that would be completely wrong. So there you go. I think that looks really nice. I'm very happy with that. There you go. That looks amazing. Maybe I'll just change the top a little bit to 80 pixels. The left is perfect. Okay, no, not 80, maybe like 70 or even 65 actually. That's the beauty of being able to do this. You can experiment and see what works and what doesn't. That's brilliant. Perhaps I'll just leave it at 75 or even 80. That'd be great. Yep, I like that. This looks good. I'm happy with that. Now obviously this is breaking up because now we are going into a different screen size. We'll get into that later. First let's stay between 780. Yeah, so that I'm happy with that. I'm really happy. Now this we don't have to worry so much. So our index page, so to speak, is done up to a screen size of 760 8 pixels. Now for screen sizes that are between 481 and 767, so obviously we'll have to first get rid of our navigation bar because it just starts to stack up over the other. So firstly what we'll do is give it the main nav dot main nav, sorry, a display of none. I'm conscious that the video is kind of running into a long one, but then again we face this problem that we have the social media icon. So let's just go into index.html. So our menu is contained within header container and so is the social link. So instead of main nav, I'll give the header container a display of none. So that way our header container won't be displayed at all. Perfect. Don't worry about it. We will be using that menu later on to use a mobile menu. We'll be doing that later. Nothing to worry right now. The section now, I will give it a padding of 20 pixels. Okay. And 0 along the sides. So let's refresh that. So it's nice, evenly spaced out. Now the biggest thing that we want to do is stack these. So I'll just first show you. It has to be between 481. So let's take middle ground, 500. Perfect. 550 perhaps. Okay, let's do this. So this is our theme. Okay, and now what we want to do is give it a row and give the row some styling. So I'll give it a padding of 0% top and bottom and 4% on the sides. So it doesn't just stick to the sides, it kind of walks in a bit. Perfect. Now this obviously needs to reduce in. So here we are. And I will also take this. Obviously now the hero title will have to reduce tremendously in padding as well. So we are in this original text. I hope you can see this right here. So we have a lot of padding here. So we'll get rid of that. We'll also change the size of this button. First of all, reduce the padding over here to 1% and 0.5 on the sides. Okay. Then change the font size to 10 pixels. I'm not sure that's taking any precedence. That's fine. We'll be making the changes inside. So let's do that. Hero title dot hero title. I'll give it a padding of 1%, top and bottom, 0.5% left and right. Let's refresh that. Perfect. Change the font size to 10 pixels. Perfect. Now the top here was 90. Let's make it 75. Right, let's see, perhaps 65 or even 50. Maybe 50 will be too much. Yep, it is, definitely is. Keep it at 60. Just keep trying and see what value works best. 65 I think would be amazing. Yep. Obviously this needs to reduce in size for me. Within hero title, so hero title btn full, font size would be 8 pixels. Let's see. Okay, brilliant, that does work. And I think that looks good, except only that this thing needs to have a width that is a bit tinier, let's say. So let's do that. Perfect. So let's refresh this and it looks good. Perhaps just the padding could be 2% on top and bottom because it's very tight. I'm not a fan. And the top can then be like, I'd say 60 pixels. Okay, yeah, happy with that. Or perhaps even 55. Let's see. That should work for me. That works, definitely works. Now let's just try resizing this and make sure that it looks good overall. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. It looks good. Between 488 and 5. So let's leave it at this. I'll perhaps just leave it at 60 pixels because that looks good. Yep, happy with that. Now obviously I want all of these to be 100%. I don't want it to be side by side. So what I'll do is .col and I'll give it a width of 100%. So it won't be perfect, yeah. It will be the full length of the screen, which is exactly how I want it to be. So all the columns will get one below the other. This again I will change. Read more will now be having a width of 40%. Perfect. So I'll take that from here. .btn read more, add it here, give it a width of 40% and the rest is 30%. So that looks nice and full instead of, this is brilliant. Now what I'll do is this image will be center aligned, right? So I'll go straight into featured about dot featured about and the img within that. I'll give it a width of 80% and a margin left of 10%. Let's see what that looks like. It should come right in the center. That's perfect. And I'll get rid of this relative and absolute positioning. So to get rid of that, I'll go over here and say position static. And just to make sure that it applies, I'll give it important. Let's let's refresh. And perfectly, it just fits. Right. So I'm going to target dot featured about content and the h1 within it and give it a margin top 0. So this should give us a lovely spaced page right here. Let's refresh this as well. Brilliant. So we have most of it done, but I do think that this part now here, again, I don't want this to be relatively positioned, so I'll capture this as well. I'll take the style or the class for this, and that is a hero title, and give it a static positioning actually between position static and important. So that will be placed below the image, which is brilliant because as you can see, the screen size is really sort of starting to squish and we don't want to create claustrophobia here. So I think our index page is all good to go. Let's scroll that further. I'll take that down. I'm very happy with how this looks. Obviously there needs to be a little bit of space on the top here. Okay, not image info definitely, but definitely inspect the element. So I know what that's called, and it's the img within featured categories. Let's just go there and I'll give it a margin top dot featured categories img, give it a margin top of like 2%. So let's see, hopefully, yep, I'd probably give it more than 2%, like 10%, because I really want there to be some space. I want there to be like a proper distinction between the two. So I think now it does. So I've given it a margin top of 20%. That's brilliant. So we have our home page done with media queries. This is what it would look on the different screen sizes. I think it looks adorable. It's very well spaced out. I really love how this looks and how the nav bar just sort of disappears. Again, now here I will reduce the margin right over here for my here we have the display none. So here dot header container, and it's also called, I think, yeah, not hero, the header container. So dot header container margin, or maybe even like I think what we have is dot social links li and dot main nav li, and I'll give it a margin right of a reduced, like, I don't know, 10 pixels perhaps, because that was 20 if I'm not wrong. So I'll just keep it closely together, even like 15 if that works, just so it's not clumping together. So that's good, I feel. And then it just sort of spaces out, and there you go. I'm very happy with this, and we are done with our homepage media queries. Now tomorrow we'll be doing the same, the media queries, but for our blog page and our blog post page. So if you like this video, I understand it's run into a very long video, so I hope you liked it, and if you found it helpful, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also ding the bell icon so you are notified every time I post a new video. And I'll see you again on day 15. Until then, goodbye and happy coding.